Hey David, Bouclé yarn looks quite feminine. How come so many menswear brands are using it now?
Yes, you are right. Most of the fancy yarn and Bouclé yarn will be used for the lacewear. But in last couple of seasons that Bouclé yarn has been widely used in the menswear, it is because I think the last few years the knitwear trend has become very plain and very simple. So everything is not really jacquard or colorful, can be accepted by the market. So the brands and the buyer, also designer, they trying to mix more texture into the yarns to give a bit more definitions in the design. So any yarn with the texture, with special effect on the look is very, very popular, and Bouclé yarn is just one of them. So for example, this small bouclé is very popular for the men's knitwear, and it's quite common, but sometimes there's also different variation with the qualities, and usually we use a very fine quality with more soft hand feel. Sometimes it can be too dry, but also sometimes you have to choose the right bouclé yarn for the menswear because some of them can be quite latest look. And also a very big problem with this kind of yarn is it's not so easy in knitting, so it has small loops on the yarn, so when it goes through the needles, it's very easy to stuck with the machine and it's become a very big hole on the knitting panels. When we knit this kind of yarn, the speed of the machine has to turn down to a slower speed. Also, a very big problem happens with this kind of yarn is after this yarn hanging for a long time, it's easily to get longer on the hangers because it's also mixed with a lot of polyamide, and also the knitting tension is not good enough. And our solution is actually to make the knitting on a higher gauge. So if the other people using 12, we will use 14. If the other people use 14, we will use 16 to make a tighter knitting. But it's also quite difficult for the loop to go through the needles. So usually our machine will turn down to a very slow speed. So that is also why sometimes our cost is a bit higher. Then another thing we try to solve is how to make the garment keep in shape. So we try to make some special techniques behind the knitting. It was developed in our knitting lab, so it's a secret recipe. But in our knitting, we can make sure all the fibers and the yarn can hug with each other, so they don't get longer after hanging. So if a style developed by us, we can make sure the garment can keep in shape at least 2 to 3 weeks in the shops. And another thing is we try to make the bouclé yarn into some structures, and we found out sometimes the structure is easier to keep in shape. We compare with the plain knits. Anyhow, I think this kind of bouclé yarn is quite popular in the market, but the most important is that you need to choose the right yarn and choose the right knitter to make this kind of special products for you. Of course, it's not very, very difficult, but to make a nice one that keep in shape and have a good durability for the customer, I think that is still very important. And if you have any question about this kind of fancy yarn or bouclé yarn, you're very welcome to comment under my post. We are Spread Lead. We only make men's knitwear.